Welcome back to the Heads Up Podcast. This is a new episode with Matt Buckley. He's well-versed in the poker world. I don't know what his preferences are. He's going to tell us today. So welcome to the show, Matt.
Thank you.
Thanks. So I remember the first time that I think I not officially met you, but got wrapped into a big pot with you. And we were playing a tournament.
Was it during the Palooza event?
It was. I was going to say, I was like, I don't know if you remember this one. We basically danced early in the tournament for a major pot. There was a raise under the gun, and I had queens on the button, and I made a
10,000
semi-small, but medium. I guess it was like 2.5x 3-bet. And
call.
What had happened was I had queens, and then you just jammed like 50,000, which was, I think it was like 60 big blinds or 50 big blinds at that point. It was just massive. And the other guy folds, and
Check.
I was like, I just knew you had ace king, and I even said it. I was like, you have ace king. I know it. Like, do I want to dance for that many chips right now?
I remember that.
And I tanked for like a good minute or two. Like
You called out my hand exactly, and you even said, I know exactly what you have, and I can't call.
But I did call, though. We flipped for...
Did you call?
We flipped. You won.
I thought you folded.
You spiked in the king on the river.
Oh.
No, I wanted to fold because I didn't want to play for that much.
Check.
I remember the hand. I guess I remember it a little differently. I check.
Trip tens.
That is going to be good.
Check, showdown.
Dang it.
3 times that.
Yeah, I was...
Well, you were ahead till the flop.
I wish that was a red 10, not a black one. The other red one. Could have got... The draws got there with the clubs. Or was it a spade? Oh.
That's funny.
I
remember the hand. I remembered it a little differently, but for whatever reason, I don't remember you calling. But you called and I got lucky. I think I'd remember that one. But
I think I've only folded queens like 3 times pre-flop in my life. Maybe 4.
Raise 13,000.
I think the 2 of them were like a month or 2 ago. I don't know. Like this year, I folded queens pre-flop. And what I think were probably... One of them was a bad fold. One of them was a good fold.
Raise 36,000.
one of them was a bad fold?
Yeah. Just because the guy was in shock that I folded queens, and I was like, your reaction tells me that was a bad fold.
Not too long ago, I heard a story about somebody having queens getting beat by ace-9 offsuit.
Oh, yeah. Who was that?
I think that might have been you. It was just a bad beat. I'm first, right?
Yeah.
12,000.
12,000.
Just none of my cards are out there.
It's because they're all in my hand. I have all of your cards right here.
Fold.
You got a jack in your hand?
No. I guess I don't have your cards.
So you got any, like, in recent memory, or maybe like your entire poker history, what's like, is there a certain pot that stands out to you in your mind? I have one that for 4 years now has haunted me to my death. And probably, or it will until my death.
Call.
Yeah,
there's a couple really big ones.
Check.
I think the biggest cash game pot I ever won was it was during the last Palooza series.
A lot of players in the room.
Check.
Yeah, it was at night, but it was a packed house, so there's probably like 10 tables going. 10,000.
10,000.
I had that beat.
Yeah.
But I limp re-raised ace king. I don't remember if it was suited or offsuit under the gun.
Yeah.
In a cash game in one of the $2 games. And the guy next to me had me covered. I think I had about $1,000 when I moved to that table, and I think I had $1,000. He had me covered by probably, I think he had about 2,000 or so.
Okay.
I mean, it was a deep cash game.
For a 1-2, yeah.
Yeah, for the
Oh,
$2 game. I mean, it was
yeah.
a million bigs. But I limped. He raised to, I think he opened to 20,
Call.
and
Check.
You came back over the top.
Five people called for $20. I came back over the top for like 200 or 250, and
Check.
And then he called. Everybody else
10,000.
folded. Everybody else folded, and
Call.
the flop came out ace 4. So I bet 200 out.
Check.
That looks. Is this your justice hand?
No, that's a hand late.
Oh, it would be so perfect right now.
It would be.
Check.
Bet 26,000.
$126.
Raise 126,000.
So the flop came out ace rag. Thank you. He was the only one to go to the flop with me. I bet, I think 200. He called. Turn came out a king. So now I have aces full of kings. And I had, so it's 200, 200, 400. I had about 600 left. I bet 300.
Call.
He called. I have a king.
I have a
Okay.
king too. You have a kicker though.
So he called when I bet 200, and then the river came out, and I went all in for the rest of whatever I had, which was like 400 into a $1,000-ish pot.
Yeah.
And he tanked for a little bit. He called. I never saw what he had, but I showed aces full, and he just stared at his hand for a little bit. I have to assume he had an ace with a worse kicker or something. Maybe he flopped. No, he probably would have jammed all in on, or he would have raised on the flop probably if he flopped a full house, unless he was trapping. I don't know. I never saw his hand. I never even seen the guy before.
Really?
So when I first moved here, the crazy thing about moving here is I worked in law enforcement for 15 years. I was an EMT for 4 years or so before that.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of craziness happened. I ended up resigning from the job where I was working as a detective. My wife and I split up. We moved to Reno. She moved to Reno because her mom and her brother owned a house here, and she wanted to stay in the house. She couldn't really afford a place to live on her own.
Yeah.
And she moved to live in the house that they owned because they'd let her live there rent free.
Raise 13,000.
Did you do all ones to intimidate me?
They were in my hand.
Oh.
I had exactly like 10 in my hand.
So it's 13 total?
Correct.
I will call.
Call.
And we sold our house, and we had quite a bit of equity because it was a California house, and we sold it like right at the top of the upswing.
Yeah.
And I checked.
Check.
We split the money, and I didn't really have much of anything to do. I wasn't working at the time. I had recently started my own business. I got back into graphic design. I was making T-shirts and stuff, and it's kind of doing that. And then one day, I had $1,000 cash, and I was like, I'm gonna go to the casino and I'm gonna play poker. I ended up going to the Silver Legacy.
For sure. Yeah.
And 30,000.
30,000.
And I played the 3-6 game there.
Call.
Pretty sure half straight.
3.
Straight.
You got there. I was trapping. I'm gonna get in trouble if I let you get there the whole night. All right.
Gentlemen, blinds are up.
I gotta
We're at
adjust.
5,000.
I gotta adjust what I'm doing.
Me too.
10,000.
Me too.
Adapting coming in.
Sorry, we were talking. What'd you say, sir? What are the blinds?
5,000, 10,000, 10,000 each.
Oh, okay. No wonder you're trying to get rid of the one chips.
Well, that hand cost me double because I tanked for a second, and then the blinds went up. So there's an extra 10,000 in the pot for you on this hand.
Thank you. So I played the 3-6 game over at the Silver Legacy, and I was up, I was down, I was up, I was down. And are there cameras here? That'd be cool. 30,000.
Raise 30,000.
It just
Fold.
it was different than the 3-6 game where I used to play, just because there wasn't that extra blind.
Right.
But nothing major happened. Like I would have some nights where I'd win, I have some nights where I would lose, and I think I was down to my last couple $100. And I remember trying to get into the no limit game there, and I never really played no limit before I moved, just because I never had enough money. That was one of the major things that caused all the problems in my life is just being short on money all the time, no matter how much overtime I worked.
Right.
Just never
5,000.
never seemed to have enough money to do anything I wanted to. And somebody said, "Hey, you should check out the Peppermill Casino." For whatever reason, somebody recommended that.
Raise 30,000.
For the games that they have there.
Yeah.
Call.
I don't know why they recommend it. And I remember the first time I walked into the Peppermill poker room, I thought I was walking into like a Poker After Dark TV set, where I was like, "This is the nicest poker room I've ever played in." Check. Oh, are you trapping me again?
I gotta find some way to get chips.
15,000.
What?
Fold.
Are you gonna?
I needed clubs.
I'm bullying. I had a flush draw.
Yeah. So you pop into the Peppermill and then
So I popped into the Peppermill. I bought the first time I played their $2 no limit game there. I bought him for like 300.
and those games play pretty deep, like deeper than usual.
Right,
Like
but it was a day game. Like it was the
Oh.
middle of the day, so it was. I think 300 was the deepest stack. or
local
so.
players.
Yeah, and I didn't know what I was doing. It's 5,000. Yeah. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I just. 25,000.
Raise 25,000.
And I just, for whatever reason, that was the $2 game at the Peppermill was the only cash game I've ever played that I could consistently beat.
Raise
And
80,000.
I don't know if it was the structure, the time rake, the players, a combination of all of it. I don't know. $80? Oh, no.
Call.
So for whatever reason, I just seemed to consistently win there. And I was keeping track of all my wins on a piece of paper. And then somebody told me about different apps you could get on your phone that.
Old school.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to see like if that would, if it was something that was sustainable, because I still didn't have a job. I still didn't know what I was doing with my life. And
65,000. Call.
yeah, it's good. But I won fairly consistently for 2 years. And then for whatever reason, in November of this year, when I moved out of the apartment I was living in into a rental house,
Check.
and I just, why are you checking? I check.
Check.
10 high.
Okay.
So I moved into a rental house, and I just, as soon as I moved, I won that massive $2,000 pot during the Palooza event, and then I just went on a massive downswing.
So you're feeling pretty good about yourself, and then all of a sudden just came
Yeah.
crashing down.
And I couldn't figure out why. Like I just could not understand, like, why do I keep losing? And then I started to realize that I wanted to get better at poker. I thought about trying out the 5 game. I played the 5 game at the Peppermill when it was 0-5 with the $10 straddle.
So the level up, yeah. Well, this is that's like a big jump compared to like the $2 games. Like
Right. So I wanted to get into that game, and I played it a few times and I won here and there. And after
Raise 30,000.
I think for a more skilled player, that
red
game
light,
is
red
better.
light, green light over there. $65,000.
Raise 65,000.
It's definitely different.
Did you say 65 or 55?
65.
Okay.
Oh, my bad. I told you I was a cop. I can't do math that well.
Call.
It's definitely, even though it seems like the same game, like there's so many differences between tournament poker and cash game poker. There's differences between limit poker and no limit. There's differences between the 5-10 game or the $2 game. There's just so many differences.
50,000.
The strategy between all of it is vastly different. And I was trying to figure out if I should, I wanted to figure out, like, when I first moved here and started playing poker, I had never heard of GTO anything. Like, I didn't know what it was. Like, the last couple books I read, like, I read 75,000. I read
75,000.
the Caro's Book of Poker Tells way back when, which you have right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I read Harrington.
That's the one book that I always fall back on sometimes. Like,
I read the Harrington on Hold'em books. I read the David Scalance and Mason Malmuth book, but none of them ever mentioned GTO, and I don't think that was something that. I don't think that was something that that really anybody had even thought of. $125.
125,000.
I don't think it was anything that anybody had thought of. I don't know when GTO strategy was invented. It seems to be something new with the advent of computing and all that. But I'd never heard of it. I just was like, oh, I know what they said were tier 1 hands and tier 2 hands and pocket pairs and all this. So I signed up for pokercoaching.com and I wanted to start learning more about GTO and be better at tournaments. And I started to realize that all the stuff I was learning about the higher level games where people actually think strategically and they think, oh, this hand might be dominated. This one's not good in position against that person. Like, all that level of thinking, it doesn't seem to apply to the $2 game. So I started learning it because I wanted to jump up levels. I wanted to be better at tournaments. And then you're good.
Call.
Queen high. Dang it. You had my 8 that I wanted.
Pair beats.
I was like 3 streets. I had to think that one through. You had 3 streets. I was like, oh, there's so many draws missed. Other than like 8-9, which I'm blocking.
Why couldn't I have 5-6 right there?
Oh man, you get paid. You just continue that bet strategy. You get paid. But I was worried about like ace high flush draws that just fucking got there on the river. I was like, oh my god. And he's betting a value that looks like a value bet, like 125 into like basically like it was almost basically like half to like 3/4 pot. Not enough to like try to push me out.
If people are going to, one of the biggest reasons I won so much at the $2 game was because people overplay their hands. People get too attached to pocket aces, for example.
They have a very narrow range, and
10, 20, 20.
they have a narrow range, and they almost won't fold on any board.
Right. So if one of the reasons for raising pre-flop is to raise for value, and people are going to overplay their hands anyways, what's the point of raising for value?
Yeah.
If everybody's going to limp in for $2, then there's people that limp ace king, there's people that limp aces, jacks, queens, whatever. If people are going to limp that, and I can limp in with something like 6-4 offsuit and flop a straight, and they're going to call with aces no matter what, like, why am I? Like, what's the point of raising?
Yeah.
If nobody's gonna fold pre-flop,
Call.
then why try to narrow down people's ranges? If it's not going to narrow down people's ranges, and it's just going to bloat the pot, like, why? Raise.
Raise 70,000.
But it took me a long time to figure that out. So the first 3 months of the year or so, actually it was the first 5 months of the year. I took a break for 3 months, and I finished writing a book that I started writing 3 years ago.
What's your book called?
The book's called Ditch the Drift, and the subtitle is, how anyone can reclaim direction in life.
Okay.
And the book was born out of the idea that, like I mentioned, when I worked in law enforcement for 15 years, I also mentioned that I, was so broke I couldn't, go play poker anytime I wanted to. And the reasons for that are, a lot of it had to do with just me taking a back seat in my own life financially and assuming my wife was going to take care of all the bills. Right. She's going to...
Raise 40,000.
that she was taking care of all the bills. I was working overtime all the time. We ended up, I have 2 kids now, but
Yeah.
I took so much of a backseat to my own life just because I was working all the time. Everything started to go off the rails, and I didn't really notice or care just because I was like, well, I'm at work. Like, you deal with it. Because she was being a stay-at-home mom.
Check.
And check. And so many things started to get so crazy.
It almost seemed like you had like the walls were caving in on you.
Exactly.
Like, this just
55.
epidemic of life just happening all at once.
55,000.
Old.
Right. But what's crazy though is, so the reason I ended up resigning from the sheriff's office where I worked was because they arrested me, and they said I stole evidence, and they accused me. I fought a criminal case for 2.5 years. So I got arrested in August of 2022, and that's when I ended up resigning from the sheriff's office in October of 2022. So it was a couple months later. And I had a criminal case that I fought for 2.5 years. And it was fairly political because the district attorney of the county where I worked was a judge that I worked for as a bailiff, and she also officiated my wedding. She lived next to my ex-wife's, parents. So she
It's almost like a weird conflict of interest in a
it
way.
was.
Like,
So she kind of conflicted out. 60. $180.
Raise 180,000.
So she ended up conflicting out. The case went to the state attorney general's office for review to see if there were any conflicts where they just could not, where they would, the DA's office tried to recuse themselves essentially, and they ended up, taking almost a year before they kicked it back, saying no, there's no conflicts, you can prosecute this case. But in the meantime, like I had, ended up resigning, and the story was I was working undercover on a task force at the time in 2020.
yeah.
And we had a lawfully issued authorized search warrant for a house, and we searched the house. The target of the investigation was the kid. By kid, I mean like the 20-year-old kid that lived there that was selling guns and drugs. And 40,000?
Raise 40,000.
Math, not my strong suit. So while I was searching the kid's room, somebody searched the dad's room. Dad had nothing to do with the investigation, but we're searching for guns throughout the whole house because the search warrant allowed us to do that.
Yeah.
And
Check.
30,000.
30,000. Fold.
Are you letting me win? What's going on here?
No, I'm just not catching anything right now.
So we found assault weapons in Dad's closet, right? They were AR-15 style rifles, and they were essentially home manufactured. They didn't have serial numbers on them. So according to California law, they're unlawful. It's unlawful possession of assault weapons.
Yeah.
What I found out, and at the same time, so this was like this was September of 2020. I need blinds out there, huh? We did the search warrant.
Call.
We did the search warrant. We seized the guns from Dad's room, and then a week after that search warrant was executed, I was in federal court as a defendant in a civil rights lawsuit for a case for something that happened in 2020 or something that happened in 2018.
25,000.
And okay, I call. So I put the guns in the safe in our evidence storage in our office. Like we had a safe for evidence storage
Yeah.
in the office, and our office was detached essentially from the rest of the sheriff's office because we were, like a branch off task force type of thing.
Yeah.
And
25,000.
I have a jack.
Oh, Jack's good. Just in case I was chopping with a 10.
Uh-oh.
And
Yeah, so we put those rifles in the safe in our task force office, and then I was involved in this federal civil rights lawsuit that ended up resolving favorably for us. And during this time, I found out that the firearms when they were seized, when they were first found in the dad's safe, they were separated into the upper and the lower receiver. And under California law, if the firearms are separated into the upper and lower receiver, then
70,000.
when the rifles are separated into upper and lower receiver, they don't qualify as semi-automatic weapons, which is one of the main definitions of assault weapons. So they technically aren't assault weapons. They're still, it's still an unlicensed firearm, unserialized firearm. So there's like manufacturing firearms and
yeah, there's different classifications of like.
Yeah. So I ended up breaking the rifles apart into their core components and giving them back to the guy, to the dad that had them. But I kept the lower receivers in my desk at work because they weren't serialized, and I gave the guy all the paperwork to get serial numbers through the California Department of Justice. And I explained the whole process to him, and I said, hey, once you get the serial numbers for these guns, I'll give you the lower receivers back so you can inscribe the serial numbers on the guns and they'll be perfectly legal.
Yeah.
And then, a couple months go by and I don't hear anything from him, and I just kind of forget about them. But they're all packaged as evidence in my desk drawer at work, and I kept them in my desk drawer because I was afraid if I put them in our main sheriff's office evidence room, they would essentially be destroyed, and we'd have to prosecute this guy for some sort of crime. And he had no criminal history at all. He literally was like the cleanest. He drove a bus for one of the local city bus public bus transportation things.
Okay.
So he's a nice guy. Got kind of a screw up kid, but did not need a criminal case to mess up his life, right? Like that would tank his career because he's essentially a government employee. 30,000.
30,000.
He's essentially a government employee, and any sort of arrest with firearms type of things would probably get him fired, even if it's a misdemeanor. So, case is changing gears. So I just kept them in my desk. I'll call. A couple months go by, and then I get into an argument or fight with my task force commander, and I end up just quitting. We get into this shouting match, and I end up just quitting the task force right then and there. And after the argument, after I quit the task force, I literally pulled the drawers out of my desk, dumped all the contents into boxes, and then just took them home and threw them in my garage. Like I did not want to deal with it. I did not want to deal with that at all. So I was like, okay, these are gonna be 60,000. Like these
60,000. Call.
I have a jack. You have a flush. That's no good.
969.
Taking my hard-earned chips.
I know. That kind of worked out exactly how I planned it. Pairing a flush draw, drill it on the turn, and then I just wish I should have raised that river though. But
yeah,
I was worried about you. I don't know, having a higher flush.
Yeah, I wish I had a higher flush. So I took the drawers out of my desk, dumped everything into boxes, shoved the boxes on the top shelf in my garage, and just went to general investigations and just kind of forgot about it.
Right.
So this was at the very end of 2020. Then in August of 2022, so 2 years later, I gotta put these over here. 2 years later, 50,000.
I'm guessing at this point you got to knock on the door.
50,000.
No, I got a phone call from the guy who is the father of our suspect in that case.
Okay.
And he told me on the phone, hey, my son passed away of a drug overdose. The case has been dismissed. I want the computers and the cell phones that you guys took as evidence because it has family photos and stuff on it. So,
Check.
I checked. I emailed the property room and 60,000.
60,000.
I emailed the property room and I said, hey, the case is being dismissed. This guy wants, these items from evidence. He's going to come pick them up.
Check.
I don't know if your face is giving a large tell right now, or if that's just how you normally look.
I was born this way. I was born looking this way. I check.
Jack.
You're good.
Check.
I didn't think you'd
Don't
fold.
worry. Sure, yeah.
That's a good assessment.
I didn't think you'd fold if I bet. I mean,
200K I fold. If you go
straight draw, but
pot and a half,
yeah.
I'm folding.
So I emailed the property room and I said, hey, this, the case is dismissed. We don't need this as evidence any longer. Give this guy the phones and the computers. Well, one of the property techs decided they wanted to read my report. And I guess in my report, I wrote that I put the guns in evidence and I never at this point in time, I'd never updated the report to say I gave the guns back to the guy. So I wrote a supplemental report saying, hey, once I got an email from our property room personnel, they were like, hey, your report says you had guns that you put in evidence. There's no guns in evidence. What happened? I wrote a report saying, I gave the guns back. But and the guy even signed, I checked. The guy even signed a property receipt saying I gave all the parts back. When I gave him all the stuff back, I was like, hey, I have a property receipt from you saying you got all the stuff back. Can everything else is going to be destroyed. And he's like, yeah, that's fine.
I'll check.
Check.
Oh.
Blinds are going up. Next hand.
45.
45,000. Fold.
All right. So
blinds are now 15,000, 30,000.
So as
30,000 handy.
15,000.
So you get the property receipt from the guy.
So I had a property receipt from the guy saying I gave back all his items, all his property. The sergeant that I was working for at the time called the guy and said, hey, we're doing an audit of our property room. We just want to see, there's a discrepancy on our property. Did you get these items back? And the guy said, yes, I got all my items back. Detective Buckley gave me all the guns back. So they're like, okay. They were convinced I never should have gave the guns back. So at this point in time, they think I gave the guns back illegally or unlawfully or without proper. And I didn't legally. I needed judge's authorization to give it back, and I didn't have that. I just gave this. I was like, this is dumb. We don't need to ruin this guy's life for this dumb stuff. I'll just give it back. I didn't realize I still had the stuff packaged as evidence in what's now in my garage. But he told me I gave back all the items. And he told my sergeant when my sergeant called him, hey, did you get all your stuff back? He's like, yeah, I got all my stuff back. So they wrote a search warrant for his. Oh, it's on me, huh? They wrote a search warrant for his house.
I'm ingrained in this story, though.
Yeah, they wrote a search warrant for his house. They met him at the house. They said, hey, we never should have gave this stuff back. So we need to collect these items. You never should have got these guns back. And he said, okay, well, there's parts of the guns that I never got back, but you can go look in my safe. Some of the parts I never got back. So they searched the safe and they realized, okay, he doesn't have all the parts. Then they wrote a search warrant for my house. and $50,000. So they wrote a search warrant for my house. I was at work at the time. They called me. My sergeant called me, said, "Hey, come to the office. We need to talk." I could tell something wasn't right. So I went back to the office, and I went back to the office, and they immediately said, "Hey, we're conducting an investigation. This is not an administrative investigation. It's a criminal investigation. We need your badge and your gun right now." And I was like, "Okay, I know what this is about."
60,000.
They were investigating Casey for stealing this pot. Can you beat 7 high? You probably can.
Fold.
Oh, you can beat it.
A little bit.
What a river.
Yeah.
You were way ahead the whole way. So they ended up going to my house, and they wrote a search warrant for my house. And I said, "Hey, look, I'm pretty sure I gave all the parts back to this guy."
You're basically open and honest about everything. in
Yeah.
this.
I said, "I gave all the parts back to this guy. He even signed property receipts saying I gave everything back to him. But if he's saying he doesn't have them," I said, "he's an honest guy. I don't think he's lying. If he says I never gave him back, then I probably never gave him back. And if I have them, and they're in my garage," and I told him exactly where in the garage those boxes were that from when I emptied my desk.
Yeah.
I said, if I have them, they're in my garage. They're in those boxes. Here's exactly where they are in my garage. They went, they searched, they destroyed the whole house. They searched everything, which is an interesting legal argument, anyways. As far as search warrants go, how did you know?
I knew.
As far as search warrants go, like they legally own the whole house, but I told them exactly where everything was. They ended up finding the lower receivers that I never returned. And I was like, this is just a miscommunication. Like, I thought I gave the stuff back to the guy. And they ended up accusing me of falsifying police reports and stealing evidence. And that was one of the things that came up during the investigation. And during all the pretrial stuff, we were arguing in court. The way you did that made it look like a massive raise. Now I'm scared, but I'm
I
first
have a
to act.
natural ability to do that. So, like, those boxes are just sitting there for years. Like,
They were there for 2 years collecting dust.
and
75,000.
literally just
Collecting dust for 2 years in my
you
garage.
forgot about them.
And what's crazy is when they searched my garage and found them, all the stuff was still packaged up as evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And when they asked me about it, I said, "Yeah, it's just a miscommunication. They were packaged as evidence. I thought I gave the stuff back to the guy." But the crazy thing is, like, my life had fallen off the rails because I was working so much overtime. My marriage was on the rocks. My older son had been diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, like severe pediatric ulcerative colitis.
Mm-hmm.
And just all kinds of crazy stuff. My house went into foreclosure. Cars got repossessed out of my driveway when my wife was at home. I got to post 30-30. I'm going to do it like Casey did because I want it to look like a massive raise. So, like, everything's going off the rails, and I was self-medicating at the time with alcohol and stimulant drugs just to have enough energy to keep going to work every day.
90,000.
That's
Right.
a lot. That's the biggest raise we've had so far.
It's
Pre-flop.
3x. Well, pre-flop, yeah.
That's what I said, right? No, I think maybe at one point I might have made it bigger, but I don't remember.
You bet 125 on the river once.
I did, and I think I raised before the flop on that one too.
Did.
Was it 75?
Now you're calculating how much
I am.
you
I'm going
want
to
to
say
raise it.
225.
Raise 225,000.
So
You've had a few premiums in this game. I don't know if I should trust that raise.
you probably shouldn't.
Fold.
How do you define premium? I mean, it's suited.
Tens or better.
It's suited, so.
Oh, you're right in the middle. Right in the computer hand.
Um,
Actually, you're ahead.
I forgot where I was at my store. So, anyways, cars. My wife's car got repossessed out of the driveway, and the only reason my truck didn't get repossessed was because I was at work working overtime at the time. Right?
Yeah.
It's just all kinds of crazy stuff. So I decided, self-medicating with stimulant drugs would be a good idea. Self-medicating with alcohol would be a great idea. And the crazy, what I learned and what was the catalyst for writing the book Ditch the Drift is I had let my life go so far off the rails. What I didn't do the crazy stuff they had accused me of doing, but I had let my life get to a position where it was perfectly reasonable for everybody to believe that I did what they said I did. You know,
Yeah.
and it just was, you know, do I even want to?
But the case is now like,
So the case is resolved at this point in time. The case is resolved, and what's crazy is if I was adamant that I did not intentionally steal anything. I didn't have the criminal intent to steal anything.
yeah.
And the fact that those parts were still packaged as evidence in my garage. $75. Those things are still packaged as evidence in my garage. If I had intended to steal them, what would be like, if you think about proving in a criminal sense, proving somebody stole something, you'd have to prove intent, you'd have to prove motive, you'd have to, I mean, it's not terribly difficult.
Raise 250,000 in a fold.
It was a good trap.
You know, to prove that I intended to steal them, it's not terribly difficult, right? Like you would say, okay, well, you took those lower receivers and you built your own guns out of it.
Motive. You
Right?
like essentially
Or-
you have to have a motive to.
Or you have text messages on your phone trying to sell them, or something. The fact that they're still in a sealed box, it's all taped up, that's been in the same spot for 2 years, still in evidence packaging. Like, how do you prove motive or intent? It just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And then during the pretrial, there's what's called a preliminary hearing, which is essentially a probable cause hearing for the judge to say whether or not there's enough evidence or probable cause to go forward to a full-on trial. We had the preliminary hearing, and I checked. During the preliminary hearing, the alleged victim testified under oath that he never said anything was stolen. He never claimed to be a victim of a crime. He never said, I stole.
The receivers. Yeah.
Check. Yeah, he essentially said, I never stole anything.
So that basically helped your case.
Yes.
50,000.
Almost not low.
Fold.
Terrible
I
fold.
have a pair. I have a really
Pair's good. I was drawing dead.
I don't know about that.
I was drawing dead.
Oh, yeah. 2, 3, 2, 4.
2-4.
So he ended up testifying in court that he never told anybody that I stole it. He never said I didn't have permission to have it. He testified that I gave everything else back to him, all this stuff. So it was really favorable to me. But because so the crazy thing is I was detained in the office, and they started questioning me about 4:00 in the afternoon. At 10 o'clock at night, they arrested me and brought me to jail. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I bailed out. At 6 o'clock the next morning, there were tons of news stories about my case already, all over the news, like just right off the bat, like almost before I even bailed out. Let's go. What is it? 30, 75,000. There were all these news stories about me already. So it seemed as though somebody had leaked the information to the press, right?
Yeah.
And I'd been butting heads with one of the sergeants that was investigating the case. I'd been butting heads with him for a long time. And part of it, was the, whoa. Red light, green light. That's a lot of green lights.
280,000.
Yeah, I'm not worried about your stack. I'm worried about mine.
Enough to make a dent.
Yeah. I call.
Call 280.
I want you to have some red chips, so this seems even.
That's fair. I've been whittling down with these green ones. It looks like I have a lot less chips than I do.
So
5
I
more?
need 10 more. This one.
Oh. That means the rest of these are probably...
All right, 200 each.
Well, that means I miscounted my stack. Maybe this wasn't a great call. So after the preliminary hearing, the DA's office was adamant that this was not going to be resolved. They were never going to offer a plea deal. And they basically said I had to take it to trial and just take my chances. And it just, everything was so favorable.
100,000. Full.
The nut low.
Not
You're
nothing.
way
Not,
ahead.
not nothing.
True.
You getting spicy on me with deuce
Yeah.
4?
So I
Watch
thought
the
we're
flop
playing
come
high-low
out.
split. I thought I could get
Ace-3.
half of it back.
Ace 3-5. We get stacks in.
Yeah. I knew I wasn't dominated. I knew if I hit, I would probably be good. So
What gave you that information? Do I wear a tell on my face?
no. So it's just one of those things. They were adamant they weren't going to resolve. They were. I got to put money out here, right? 30 and 30.
30.
And two years later, after all the preliminary hearing stuff, like I really wanted. There was so much more I wanted to do with the case, like motion to suppress and all this stuff, because just having worked as a detective for so many years, that's what I should have done with my deuce 4. I don't even want to. I'm not even going to look at this hand. I just want to watch it back later.
I'll sell lessons.
I just want to watch it back later and see what I just folded right there without looking. There's so much I wanted to do that I never did for whatever reason. My lawyer was kind of dragging his feet on some stuff, and he was ready to retire. So literally the day we were supposed to pick a date for jury trial,
Yep.
the DA's office came up with this really cool sweetheart deal where they went for 2.5 years. They're saying they're not going to offer any deals at all, to all of a sudden, $60,000. All of a sudden they're offering a deal where if I plead, they wanted me to plead guilty, but they ended up changing it so that they would allow me to plead no contest to 3 of the felony charges. They would sentence me to 6 months of county jail and 3 years and 2 months of state prison. The agreement was the 6 months of county jail could be successfully completed with $35,000. Could be successfully completed. Not too much.
35,000.
50,000. Annie. 50-50.
You got a lot of green over there all of a sudden. I don't think I should have played the 2-4 that way.
All right, lines are up. We're at 25,000, 50,000, 50,000.
Oh, now we're gonna start doing fun stuff.
Yeah, we are.
So the deal was, 6 months county jail and 3 years, 2 months of state prison. The 6 months of county jail could be satisfied with a 6-month outpatient drug treatment program. And if I successfully completed the outpatient drug treatment program, then the state prison sentence would be suspended, which means I don't have to go unless I violate probation or something.
Yeah.
But what
Call.
150.
Raise 150,000.
So if I successfully complete drug treatment, then 3 years of state prison is suspended. But the way the sentencing was carried out, it wasn't discussed in court, but the way, there's different penal code sections in California that say if you don't spend time in prison, then the felony charge could be reduced to misdemeanors, and the judge doesn't really have discretion over that. Is that a raise?
Raise. we're looking at 400,000 total.
You must be bored of this conversation. Trying to end it?
No. I'm actually mad and intrigued about this conversation.
So after, assuming I've already completed the drug treatment program, but assuming I go the rest of the probationary period without screwing up and getting sent to prison, then once all the time is over and probation successfully completed, the charges will be reduced to misdemeanors, and I can file a petition in court to have my record expunged. So best case scenario, if I take it to jury trial, best case scenario is I beat everything, right? And then I have no criminal history. Worst case scenario, I get convicted and I spend 6 years in state prison.
Which is the worst of the options.
Which is a terrible outcome, right? Plus, even if I beat the case, how many of these? 3. You know, when I play the tournaments at the Peppermill, I usually have an app on my phone that I track how much I have, so I don't have to count and think. This is 100, 200, 500. 300. Okay. All in.
Raise all in.
Call.
Call all in, gentlemen. Nothing over.
Classic flip. All right.
It's a race. So
I see that you're sitting here and you're not in prison.
I'm not in prison. I successfully completed a drug treatment program, and they left the outpatient drug treatment program. Oh, that's a good in the window card.
God, yeah, it is. And a back. Jesus, I'm just dead. Ace.
Nope. There's a one-legged ace.
My God. Oh, you had to give it on the river?
All right, queen's full of 7.
That's gross.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think it's gross at all. That's the way it should go.
You like it?
I don't know. Casey might have me covered there.
I think I did, maybe. You got 4, 8, like 9 there.
So
yeah.
Astute observation, sir. I am not in prison. And assuming I go the rest of the time without screwing up, then the end result is the charges are going to be reduced to misdemeanors. And according to Section 17 of the California Penal Code, the judge doesn't have discretion over that. Then there's another section of the California Penal Code that's like 1203 point, I can't remember if it's 1203.2 or 1203.4, which is some like probationary type of thing. And if I successfully complete probation, then I can petition the court to have the misdemeanor charges expunged. And the judge does have discretion over that, but they would have to find on the record clear and convincing evidence that there's an unreasonable risk to public safety by doing that. So it's hard for them to come up with a reason to say, no, they're not going to do it, but it's possible. So best case scenario, I take it to jury trial. I spend an extra,
We're looking at 800,000, 817,000, 18,000.
I'm going to throw this coin in the middle because it says surrender the booty. This seems like a good surrender the booty moment. So I would have to spend an extra, $100,000 in legal fees to take it to jury trial. And that's just a lot of emotional stress for my family. There's also the risk that I would lose. Even if I, can't beat one of the charges, there's a risk I'm going to prison for some period of time.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to take that risk, right? So I was like, I'll take the deal. But all the newspapers in the area basically said that I went to prison, and obviously that's not the case. But all the people that I used to work with are convinced. I haven't talked to. There's only been maybe 2 people that I used to work with out of the hundreds or thousands of people that I knew, because I was really involved in all kinds of stuff. I was an academy instructor. I was a subject matter expert on drugs and guns and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
I was a fairly well-liked guy. And what's crazy is, usually when there's a dirty cop that gets caught doing something, after everything goes down, everybody's like, yeah, we kind of knew there was something not right. This was one of those times where everybody was like caught off guard, which is an indication that, maybe there was nothing there. It's just complete misunderstanding and me not taking an active role in my own life and not doing the documentation on returning the guns properly. So when I do it after the fact, it looks like I'm trying to cover it up. But it was just a shit show from the start, really. Like, I made some questionable decisions and I didn't do things the way that I should have. And after everything's all over, I realized, there's a lot of things in my life that that I should have done. I'm going to bet. You're going to fold no matter what I bet?
50,000 fold.
I took a long, so the whole case of resolving was 2.5 years, almost 3 years of time. And it cost me my career. It cost me, tons of money.
Your entire life.
It cost me essentially my retirement, my marriage, my house, like everything's gone at this point, right? So I had a lot of time to do some soul searching and figure out like what could I have done differently? Where did I 50-50? So I came up with a lot of things that I could have done differently, a lot of things that were warning signs that I ignored. So I wrote a book called Ditch the Drift. It's all about reclaiming direction in your own life. And it's based on my experience. And the book has a lot of...
All in.
It's a little less than 2, I think.
I call.
Calls the all in. Number action.
Jack high.
You're ahead.
Oh, I have you dominated.
You got hearts? Oh.
I have a 6.
You got 6. I need some hearts
All
then.
right, I can come back.
I thought maybe both cards were live.
High cards.
That's a good start. Oh my God, that is
Good
the sickest flop ever.
I'm drawing to like 2 outs.
Oh.
Oh my God. Why does it always end like this?
What's your record on your show?
I don't want to tell you.
Winner, Matt Buckley.
Good game, Casey.
Well, man, thanks for coming out. That's
Thanks for
crazy
having
shit, dude. Honestly, like from where you were to where you are, what's going on now? Like,
Yeah.
it's life is a roller coaster sometimes. I don't even really, and poker's the same fucking way. Like, you're gonna go walk into a session and win like $3,000, or you're gonna lose your 2 bullets that we brought with you and 5 times in a row. Like, went and played mixed games last night and I lost. I played for an hour and a half and I sat there and I played maybe 10 hands. I lost every single one of them. I had the second best hand every time by the river. Even though on the flop I would have the boat or whatever, but crazy. Just like that call you made with that last hand.
6-3 there.
Matt, thanks for coming out, man.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
We're fine.
That's good, dude. Great story. Let's get some photos up in the Suzy. What a classic last man.
I mean, it's shooting connections. What do you want me? I got it.
No, I have like 4 big ones. Like, you gotta call them.